You've been serving everyone, yet being served the least. Not anymore. Welcome to Everything on Purpose, the blueprint to personal freedom. I'm your host, Latoya Deshawn, a mental health expert that helps everyday women change their belief systems, thought patterns, and emotional reactions. Now, this is my first show. Okay, I'm excited, you guys. I'm excited to be here because there's a paradigm shift in this world happening with Black people. And on this podcast, I examine the role of the strong Black woman and the expectations and responsibilities that lead us to neglect our own mental health and emotional well-being, right? I also look at current trends amongst millennials who are creating a paradigm shift and seeking mental health and wellness solutions, right? Again, there is a shift here. Each week, I unpack and explore mental health and wellness, relationships, and my faith through storytelling. And I'm fortunate to have conversations with the most insightful people in the world. Now, what is Everything on Purpose? It's basically my life in a nutshell. It's a framework that I created through the most tumultuous times of my life, but it's also the framework I created when I transformed my life. My first pillar of my company, Patent Leather Project, is behind every face is a story, right? Behind every face is a story means that we need to be aware of the life that we've lived, right? Tell our story, own our story, And a large part of this is about self-awareness. So it all started when I passed out at a club in 2018. Yep. It was time to get my life together. I could no longer hide the pain that I was feeling. It was all over me. And so I remember not going to the hospital, not tending to my care. And a month later, I decided to go and started my fibroid journey. And so the framework really covers mental and physical health disparities. It also talks about spiritual grounding. When I went on this journey, yes, I'm a believer in God, but maybe I wasn't believing the way that I could. And so through a lot of situations, bad boyfriends and family toxic dynamics, depression, I was suffering, you guys, right? You've been serving everyone, yet being served the least. Not anymore. So after I went to Africa, I had a horrible time with this boyfriend. Trash. You'll hear about that later. But I decided, which is my first principle of my company, I decided, and that is to get out of my own way, to show up for myself and believe in myself. That was the basis of me formalizing my company, Patent Leather Project, which you're going to hear so much about, which is where the framework is powered through. And you're also going to hear the rest of my story in the podcast. My story is such a long story, such a long journey, of knowing that my body was not responding to what life was giving me. And so when I passed out, I could no longer act like I was in control. I was not in control. And I think as Black women, we always want to be in control. And so I get that. That's what the world has told us to be. And so I want to just look at some statistics on what is saying about Black Americans. Let's start with Black Americans. So African Americans in the United States make up approximately 13% of the population. Almost 25% of that, which is about 7.5 million, have been diagnosed with a mental illness such as depression, right? In the United States, 61% of Black children have experienced at least one adverse childhood experience, such as family trauma, compared to 40% of white children. The high occurrence ACEs, that's what they abbreviate it as, and mental health disparities among Black people can likely be attributed to the uneven provision of services and opportunities in minority neighborhoods. What does this say? This is saying that people are depressed because of limitations that have been provided to them. And so there has not been any services to help them with the depression. And so now we have a lot of people out here, a lot of Black people out here who are suffering, right? Roughly 25%, or that's what the research says now. Now, what is the impact, right? Let's get back to Black women. Strong Black women characteristics such as resistance to dependence on others and emotional suppression, right? Like I said, I was hiding my pain, prevent us from seeking help for emotional distress. We want to hide it. We don't want to call out our problems. We want to think that we have it all under control. Meanwhile, we are suffering. Now, verbalization of emotional distress and seeking mental health counseling are often interpreted as a sign of weakness. Black women, women all over the world, you know what family you've existed in, and you know the thoughts around mental health therapy. And so it has not been advocated for us in our communities to go and get the help that we so desperately need. God wants us to have, right? We'll talk about that more. But what is the call to action? Because, that's why I'm here, right? As a practitioner, I need to examine how the strong Black woman role might contribute to the underutilization of mental health care among millennial Black women, right? When compared to the general population, and current trends amongst millennials who are creating a paradigm shift and seeking mental health and wellness solutions. That's what you're going to learn here. We're going to learn about the role that it contributes to the underutilization, right? We're going to look at the systems in place that keep us in this spiral, but we're also going to look at the paradigm shift, right? Millennials are out here saying, I've been serving everyone, yet been served the least. Not anymore. We are about our mental health and wellness solutions. Getting back to everything on purpose, this is how I've addressed this gap, right? It is grounded in physical, psychological, and spiritual development, and a strong emphasis on your interpersonal and intrapersonal relationships. Financial abundance and legacy building are merely the byproduct of your submission to a higher authority, right? The byproduct of your submission. So abundance is yours. You can have it, but it's really your submission to higher authority. And we know with COVID-19, everybody got on their knees and prayed to somebody. I want us to stay there for a moment because that person is the person that needs to be in the forefront, right? And I have a feeling that because we as women are trying to be in control and trying to maintain our outwardly appearance, it limits us from submitting to a higher authority, right? To getting our peace back. So we're going to talk about that here on this podcast. Now, my methodology is based on personal experience, trauma, professional pursuits, cultural traditions, formal education, guiding principles, and stories from past clients and millennial women creatives who chose to experience personal freedom using this transformational framework. So once I changed my life, I started helping to change the lives of other women. And you'll hear about the results of myself and the results of them in a later podcast. But know that personal freedom is yours, okay? Everything on purpose, personal freedom framework. This is why you're here. If you desire that, you are in the place to be. So now, I just want you guys to know that what I believe, right? Let's just go to my hypothesis, right? I believe that this is the life of so many women all over the world, not just American women. So my hypothesis is that I believe it's all about adverse childhood experiences that lead to mental health disparities and unfortunate emotional reactions. Okay, remember in the beginning, I told you that I help everyday women change their belief systems, thought patterns, and emotional reactions. And on this podcast, we're going to delve into that more. I want to talk about one last thing before I end this podcast with you today. And this is the values, the podcast values. And it's very simple. Over here, you've been seen, you're going to be seen, valued, and heard. For me, that equals highest regard for yourself, which is the ultimate form of self-love. I hope you guys are here for this ride. I sure am. Transformation is yours. Freedom is yours. You deserve. You've been serving everyone, yet being served the least. Not anymore. I look forward to connecting with you guys.